Welcome to Aximawian Media Network. This is the English program on Aximawian. Please share this link with your friends, all your followers. My name is Hadash Kahsai, and I will be your host today. In today's program, we will be having a thorough discussion with a human rights activist and my dear friend, my brother, Charanet Harifo. Welcome to Aximawian, Charanet. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Adashnate. Thank you.
Of course. Please introduce yourself for those that don't know you. I know you're really popular in our community, but please briefly introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you. I would love to. For those who don't know my name, pretty much Chernet Alem is my name. I am originally from Tigray, but I live here in the US. I am a product of an amazing fighters who fought 17 years to preserve the dignity and the rights of Tigrayans. My mom was a participant of the 17 years of struggle against the marginalization and subjugation of Tigrayans. It is a privilege to be part of, that generation. And pretty much being Tigrayan is one thing I really celebrate all the time. I'm also a part-time policy advisor for Eritrea and Ethiopia, particularly. It's about the youth and the refugee crisis in both countries. I'm also part-time human rights activist and Tigrayan activist as well. So pretty much I'm yours.
You're so young, but you started doing everything at such a young age. I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy to have you here today. So the next question I have for you is, you have been one of the faces of the movement against the Tigray genocide. How did you start? What motivated you to speak up?
Okay, first, I don't want to call myself a face of the movement.
One of the first.
Yeah.
One of the faces.
Yeah. So me personally, I think what is happening in Tigray is personal to me. It's not even about choice whether to fight or not, whether to struggle for your people or not. When I first started this, I started with no background knowledge about the entire political sphere of Ethiopia. I was never involved. I love diversity. I grew up in different countries, and I have so many friends from all over the world. And being a Tigrayan was not really an important aspect of my life because I believed I am a global citizen, and that's all that mattered. But as time goes by, around 2020, before the war started, I got a couple of calls from my families and stuff saying there'll be war. So there'll be war coming up and that this war might be devastating. So they asked us not to come back or not to return to Ethiopia. But as time went by, November 4th is when I fully actually realized that I'm Tigrayan because I was, all my circles that I never believed they will call me out with my ethnicity started calling me out, Tsela, Wayane, Agame. I have my friends calling me Agame and the other calling me. I'm like, what does even that mean?
Yeah.
But as it goes by, I really learned that it is so important that I'm being hated by so many around me, and I didn't realize. And then I was like, to end this hate, what does it take for me to do? And then I decided to take an initiative to speak about it on social media. And prior to that, I was actually traveling state to state doing like advocacy with the Tagaras from Seattle pretty much know it. I have been really working with Al Haben, going from state to state, advocating for to the representatives to kind of speak about the Tigray genocide. Back then, it wasn't more of a genocide; it was like a war, but we wanted to stop the war in the beginning. But as time went by, really the war shifted to something else, and then my heart also shifted. I'm like, oh man, I'm on the brink of extinction, and I'm not realizing it, type of thing. And really, that pushed me to go and take an initiative, and that initiative was about it was based on ending the Tigray genocide that is still active right now. It was an initiative that I never chose to do, but it was a responsibility that I had as a Tigrayan, because what am I going to tell to my kids tomorrow? What am I going to tell to my family tomorrow, if Tigray is free, what am I going to tell them? Was I sitting down, eating, sleeping, and watching what is happening, or
Yeah.
just regard? So
Yeah.
there was this sense of guilt as well attached to the me being involved with the Tigray genocide.
Yes, definitely. You bring up a good point. That is our responsibility to speak up. And I like that you spoke about, your family members having hints or signs of this, war and now ongoing genocide occurring. So it did not just start on November 4th. So definitely, and then, I've definitely have seen you in different states. Um, from the beginning of the war, beginning even on Clubhouse, on every social media, you've always spoke up. So, what was the reaction from Ethiopian friends, Eritrean friends, also your Tigrayan peers as well?
Um, for sure, it was a defining moment for me. This the moment I started engaging even about the entire Ethiopian political, sphere. It was very difficult, and you pretty
Mhm.
much know it's kind of a cultural taboo in our society to disagree with somebody. If you disagree,
Mhm.
you might be more likely to be labeled as an enemy or something like that.
Mhm.
And that's one hard fact that I have to deal with over the recent couple of months and even weeks. Before, when I began, advocating for Tigray, I started just as I wanted to learn first because I don't want to dive into things I don't know. So I started discussing with people first. I never was in the public that much. I was just like discussing with Ethiopians, Eritreans, and people from every part of life in Ethiopia. And my intention was that Wayane, TPLF, Wayane did this, Wayane, you guys. And then, there's this also a generalization of a Tigrayan society by a
Mhm.
particular political party or so on, and say, you
Yeah.
guys, these Tigrayan, you guys, when you are empowered, I'm like, who are you guys type of,
Yeah.
thing. And that really triggered me more than anything because I feel like Tigrayans are blamed for the things they really have not done. If anyone knows Tigray, our people are
Mhm.
still living in the poverty they lived in maybe even before the last 27 years that many claimed that it has had effect on Tigray. To be quite frankly, I have traveled to so many parts of Tigray.
Mhm.
I can see people still live in the old stone houses and so on. So it's not
Mhm.
fair for everyone to throw their blame on the Tigrayans. That really triggered me more than anything. Yeah.
Yeah, and the truth is they do use that as a cover to support the genocide. Many have been to Tigray and know exactly what Tigrayans are living through and what kind of society or what kind of economy there is in Tigray. So many just use it to really cover their hate or just like the fact that they support it. Maybe they feel guilty. So I'm glad you realize that as well. And then my next question for you is: you were also going to school, you were finishing up your high school career, you're now in college, while also advocating and being one of the faces of this movement. How did you balance your school and just being a restless activist? How did you do it, and what kept you going throughout this genocide?
Okay. Wow, it's such a great question. Um, to be quite frankly, Hadash, I personally felt as if I was in Tigray. As if I was there on the ground. Every day for me is pretty much like that.
Yeah.
I lost interest in everything that I used to do. My high
Mhm.
school year, I almost missed my graduation. You remember I was in Vegas that day. Tomorrow I
Yeah.
have graduation.
Yeah.
So I missed my prom. I missed a lot of life events
Mhm.
I was advocating.
Mhm.
I was and as you said, a restless advocating for the people of Tigray.
Mhm.
What pushed me is another thing, but experiencing it, the notion of knowing that tomorrow a Tigrayan women will be raped, the notion of knowing that tomorrow morning a Tigrayan children will die, then the notion of knowing that tomorrow a particular group of young youth will be killed
Mhm.
is a very disturbing factor in my life. It is really, and until now, I though I'm trying to get on track, it's really difficult, but School, I don't know how I finished my senior high school, to be quite frankly. I just graduated. That's all I'm gonna say. I just graduated, but I had no idea. And even my freshman college years, like the beginning last semester, I pretty much don't know how the semester passed by because I was traveling from one state to another, like going to protest and so on and there. And also I've been doing fundraising with TDA and with TMH. I've been working with TMH particularly and other groups also that are doing things in Sudan and so on. All this are really a very hard thing to do, but I use it as a more therapeutic mechanism in order to like overcome the stress and the trauma attached to this genocide. Um, the people of Tigray are experiencing worse than I am. I live in America. I can eat, sleep, I can do everything I want, and but for them, life is unbearable. They are living on a daily nightmare. You know what I'm saying? So they don't even have access to basic necessities that they need to survive, such as medication and so on. How selfish is of me to kind of put my situation ahead. So I don't want to talk much about me, but it has always been about Tigray, and Tigray is deep down in my heart, and it really everything that is happening on daily basis affects me significantly. It really changes. I can't stay a day without knowing what is happening in Tigray. So I try to take off social media, but still, it's still there. The feeling of what is happening. I'm hearing so many bad news right now, actually, and it's really, it really heart wrenches me. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's traumatizing. So I definitely understand you in that, and I commend you on everything you've been doing and being able to balance everything. Watching you go through school and also being like always actively protesting and always being involved in every campaign. I'm always so proud of you, and I commend you on doing such a great job. For our audience, he does do a great job in his school as well. He's not only a great voice for our people, but he also is a great student as well. So great job, and please continue to be balancing it, and make sure you do take care of yourself as well. Without Tigrayans taking care of themselves, we won't be able to help our families. So make sure you're also doing that.
Sure.
Yeah, because it is easy to feel guilty and not take care of yourself at this time.
True. Yeah.
And the Tigray genocide has been going on for like 16 months now, but it is not getting enough attention. Why do you think that is? And what should we do as diaspora to bring more awareness worldwide?
It is a very good question and a complicated one at the same time. Um, the people of Tigray are experiencing worst experience than actually the past couple of years, a couple of months, the previous years before June. Right now, we are talking about the entire population of Tigray on the brink of starvation. There's nothing worse than dying of hunger in this world, and I can't even imagine that. Our movement first started really very strong. It was a youth-led, youth from every corner of this country coming together and saying no to Tigray genocide. As time goes by, there's so many things changing. Youth with ability who are ready to fight, who are willing to fight, are being sidelined by just a few group of people actually in our society, in our community. A very few group of people are pushing these youths away by discouraging them. I know a lot of youths that really complaining about this, and like this is really a moment where every Tigrayan is affected mentally, and another discouragement adds more mental problem to their existing condition rather than solving the situation. So youth not being that involved really, it's really slowing the movement, and many people that used to attend the protest are also saying, oh, it's okay, I'm not going to attend, I will attend next time in W. And that is also really affecting the movement. This is a time actually that we need to fight like never before. I never expected that 40% of our whole population will be starving if they don't get the aids as soon as they can. And that is really significantly affecting our people. As a diaspora, first of all, I don't even have anything to say about the war in Tigray because I'm not fighting in Tigray. My responsibility here is to fight for Tigray, to make sure the humanitarian aids get to Tigray, to make sure that no Tigrayan is left behind, to make sure their rights and dignity is protected as per the international law, which governs every nation and people across the world. But the misconception here is, though, even at our protest, there's mismanagement in different ways. Some people just say, I am TPLF, I am that. This is very significantly detrimental to our movement, because we want Ethiopian to stand with us. We want those Ethiopian also to stand with us and say, no to the human misery in Tigray. What is happening in Tigray is really not something that we Tigrayan only can fix. It's something that we need help from everywhere. Reach out to every community. Reach out to the Muslim, Christians, Amharas, Oromos, all these ethnic groups, and say, stand with us. The main idea of our cause is to end the Tigray genocide. To end the Tigray genocide means it's not affiliated with any political party. It's just a collective of Tagarus coming together to fight. And in this fight, I'm also gonna say there are people who seem to be benefiting off of it. I don't know why and why this is a time of benefiting when what we are concerned about is our family. There are people doing it, and I'm not gonna hold that back. So at this time, Tigray needs us more, and we have to be there regardless. We have to be there in every way we can. For example, reaching out to senators. When you even ask people right now to reach out to senators, people say, okay, but they never do. This petition organized every day by amazing people here and there. They're told, please, can you guys sign up this petition? They're okay and never. We organize all these meetings and so on to do this. People don't do it, and this is a very critical time. Our whole population is on the brink of starvation. Actually, I heard somebody called me a little bit ago and say that if our people are not going to receive the aids and all the basic necessities they need in the next 8 months, they're all going to perish. That's what I heard. It's very dangerous, and it's a sad reality that we have to live through, and we're not really prioritizing that at this moment. I understand there's so many event parties here and there, but let's remember our objective here. Our objective is to set Tigray free. It's not it's okay to have fun, to do whatsoever, but the responsibility, the main aim should be to set Tigray free from the oppression and marginalization and subjugation and collective punishment that they are experiencing at this time and day in Ethiopia, and holding those responsible accountable. That's our work as a diaspora, not to say alone or something like that. No, not to say that. It's about to talk about Tigray and Tigray only. So and I'm very also sad about those Tigray media. Some of them are not really highlighting and illustrating the actual suffering of the people of Tigray. They're talking about advancing and so on. What is important is our people. Advancing of military is not going to help us anything when our people are perishing and dying of hunger. So that's the sad fact that people need to take that in. And that's all I want to say. Thank you, Had.
Yeah, you make up really great points. You actually made a lot of great points throughout. So basically, to conclude that, it would be I agree that we do need to put our people first. We need to make sure the well-being of our population is at the forefront, and most of the diaspora is doing that as well. And I think we just need to more on improving it. So I really enjoyed hearing your perspective, and I really appreciate that. And I do think you bring up great points. So that reminded me of, Russia and Ukraine, and how the Russians did stand with Ukraine without anything. The Ukrainians didn't have to ask for it. It's all about humanitarian issues, and if you really care about it, you'll stand for it. There might be a few only, could be 1%, but there are some Ethiopians and Eritreans that do support us, and it would be great to focus on that and work with them as well. So. What do you think about, I guess that how the Ukraine and Russian war has gotten way more attention in literally one day 2 days, everyone's already sanctioning Russia, and everyone's standing with Ukraine. Why do you think that did not happen for Tigray? And what can we do different to make sure that we do get that attention, that worldwide attention as well?
Yeah, it's a good question actually. What do you expect? It's Western country. When another Western country is touched, another Western country is raged. But we are in African countries. Nobody gives us that regard, as far as I'm concerned. But we ourselves are not giving that regard for each other as an Africans. I can tell you by the actions of African Union, which should be fighting for the lives of African, but is doing the opposite. So I wouldn't expect that much, support from Western countries, because it's all about their interest. Western countries, without their interest, they're not going to be involved. They're not going to help anybody. But if they have for sure have an interest, they will definitely do whatever it takes to stop it. So with what is happening with Ukraine, I can correlate to it because our land was invaded, just like Russia is invading Ukraine. There's so much correlation to that. It reminds me of when first Eritrea invaded Tigray from the northern part and western part as well. At that particular time, there was a disregard from the international community. We were been telling the truth. We've been saying Eritrea is in Tigray, and we were being told, where's the evidence? Eventually, the truth has no hiding place. It always is unraveled. With regards to the attention part, I think Tagaros as ourselves are like focusing on more Ukraine than actually Tigray, while our population is suffering right now. That's what is happening. I seen on Twitter and so on that people are talking about Ukraine more because right now our whole families are starving. Like seriously, and then also with terms of digital advocacy is slowing as well because there's so many like Twitter clubs, Twitter spaces being held, people just talking about different things. And it's okay to talk like that. But I think digital advocacy is also slowing. Before Tigray genocide was about 1,500 tweets in an hour, and it's always trending. Now it's no longer actually. It's no longer big. It's like 350 tweets per day, pretty much, when you look at per hour. Pretty so that's really significantly affecting us. It is really affecting us. So we really need to work towards that and in our digital advocacy to raise awareness about the Tigray genocide. And protests really need to continue like never before. Like the one we had in DC and New York, that was like a protest like no other time. That's what we have to have like on maybe hopefully this thing doesn't continue. I don't want to say like, oh, next month or something, because I don't want this to continue at all. Really, I want it to end as soon as possible. But we have to like strengthen our protest and so on, and reach out to others, not about just us the grind, but also like try to reach out to other communities, like even Americans, like mailing, going to neighbors and inviting them to protest. This is significantly going to help us, particularly to raise those awareness. Otherwise, if we just is between us and me and you and us, really this is not going anywhere. So we really have to ask so many people on campus. If you guys live on campus, you can ask them, the white people, African Americans, Latinos, just talk to them about Tigray genocide and ask them. There's actually a lot of clubs in universities, like for the youths. Actually, I've been reaching out to a lot of them. Actually, they've been really helping greatly. So those clubs, they are like debate clubs, all these student government body, and reaching and writing letters out to them and saying, please guys join us for a protest against the Tigray genocide. Just explain from your point of view and say, hey, Sharonat, please help us in raising awareness about Tigray genocide type of thing. They will really respond, and they're more likely to help because they're all activists anyway. But yeah, I think doing that is going to be very effective.
Yes, definitely. I think having allies is so crucial during a movement, really. And we do have a few allies, and we have the Black Lives Matter movement that do stand by us. But it's all about, I think, getting that attention from the world. But I definitely agree with pushing for working with other groups, even other African countries. There are a lot of other African countries that are going through similar things. Of course, it's not as dire as the need in Tigray right now, but there are many going through a lot. So working with different groups would be definitely a great idea. And also, I just wanted to backtrack on your previous answer and just kind of ask you a follow-up question on what do you think we can do to motivate the youth? Some people are slowing down for different, everybody's slowing down for different reasons. Some people are focusing more on their school or their mental health, or which is great. And some people maybe are losing hope, which we do not want. So what do you think we can do to motivate all of our youth again?
Yeah, before I answer that question, I'll go back to the previous point, actually, where you said Black Lives Matter and all these organizations are standing with us. It's true, they're standing with us, but what are they doing to help us? You know, it's not about just to stand. I can, anybody can say I stand with Tigray, you know what I'm saying? So that's just a simple concept. But what are they doing? For example, if you see the normal movement, we just started within a couple of weeks, I guess. That movement pretty much reached out to all African countries. They made this war more about Africa. You know what I'm saying? And we have to stretch beyond that. You know, we have to really not focus on Western only. We really have to focus on more African countries. When we say focus, we have to like. There's so many Africa. I just actually been researching a lot about African Student Association in the United States. There's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of them all over the world. Those groups can be vital in terms of making Tigray genocide more trendy. Really, they will be really, crucial part of this movement. Reaching out to them and asking them to get involved rather than just standing with us. Anyone can just write a letter and say, yeah, I stand with the people of Tigray. That is not going to help us with anything. But having people who actually do something, convincing them or trying to explain to them what is happening in Tigray and trying to make them feel what we're feeling is just the most important thing. Like making videos, I think making videos and sending over and explaining your testimonies to them, you know, having all this information together, it's really important. The other question you asked, how can we motivate the youth? That question, I think it's from our elders, especially in the diaspora. We really super need to work hard in terms of reaching out to the youth. When you reach out to the youth, you're not going to reach out to them with the Tigray genocide card. No, you can't do that because they themselves, their mental health is at risk right now. Every youth is struggling. I'm telling you. I thought I was the only one, but the more I talk to more people now over the last couple of weeks, people are really struggling here and there. For some, it might be more manageable, and I think for our older people, I just want to say this real quick. Like, you guys might have experienced this like before, maybe before us, but as for us, this is a new thing to us. It is a new thing to us. We have no idea. Most of us are not born back then, and it's a new thing for us. I think it's important they put our feelings into consideration without throwing hands here and there, because that hands do matter when it comes to the emotional feelings of our youth. Involving them is all about inclusivity. I think there's a lot of exclusion happening here and there. I'm telling you, it's happening a lot of places actually in the United States. Many young people are just saying, oh, I'm done with this type of thing. This exclusion has to stop. The youths need to be opinionated. They have to state their opinion when they want, how they want, and whenever they want. There's nothing such as saying it's not the time to talk about this. It is a time to talk about everything, because a civil society that we live in. So therefore, this is what is impacting millions of people. We have a voice as a Tigrayan. I have a voice, you have a voice, and everyone has a voice. When one voice is deciding the fate of your family, that is as dangerous as it can get. So I think the youth seems to be like sidelined right now. The last months, I think this has to stop, and the only way to bring them back is giving them the power to do what they always wanted to do. When you remember, this is what really inspired me the most. I think that's even the first time I met you, the New York DC protest. If you see the level of youth participation in that event, every youth had a megaphone.
Yeah.
Back, front, everywhere. There were Tigray genocide, Tigray genocide. The city was full of, people. Everyone is asking, what is going on, right? Is the energy that we need back. That energy somehow, I don't know, scattered people. When even invite them to the, I'm like, I will think about it, type of thing. And this really detrimental. It is. So I think bringing them more and giving them the power to do their own things, like when
Mhm.
they organize a protest, don't hijack it. Like don't hijack and say I
Mhm.
am PPLF in that protest. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
please give the youth the right to do what they love doing because they want to fight for their people, and that's all they
Yeah.
can do. They don't have money, most of them. They can't fundraise like you guys. We can't give ten
Yeah.
thousand dollars because we don't have
Yeah.
one college student. You know, so
Mhm.
they want to help Tigray with their hands, their voice, their minds, their ideas, and so on. Give them that opportunity. I actually want to thank Aksumawi media actually for being youth friendly because not everybody
Yes.
is youth friendly. Appreciate them for being youth friendly and allowing youths to come and discuss even about this. This is super important. And you
Yeah.
see, there's a lot of youth watching, I can see already. But that is the aspect. Having youth part of this community is very important. And a community that allows the youth to lead is a community that grows bigger, greater, and better.
Yes, definitely. I agree with you. From your first point, having action items for all, for everyone that does say I stand with Tigray, us being prepared to tell them how to help us.
Yeah.
That is a great point that you made, and also allowing the youth, to lead and learn as well from those that are older than us, and also, are in charge of many things,
Mhm.
which we, appreciate. Like for myself, I reside in Las Vegas, and they do allow us to lead many of the protests, and always motivate us. So I think it would be Vegas is one of the great examples, and I think other states could also use that. So I really loved hearing your
I want to
perspective
chime
on
in.
that.
I want to chime in that part. Anytime I
Yeah,
talk about youth, I always talk about the youth of Las Vegas, to be quite
yeah,
frank. The youth of Las Vegas are in control. When I first attended a protest in Vegas, I was just surprised how the youth had the power. They are the one leading the protest. They're the one speaking. They're the one talking about the people and everything. It's so amazing. Hearing from young people is always empowering. So I think what you said is very important. Other states need to learn from you guys. I know Tigray, you guys have TYLV, Tigray Youth Network. You guys have everything.
Tigray use Las Vegas. Yes.
Yeah, you guys have everything. And
Hmm.
that is, if you go to DC, there's none of that. And there's so many youths in DC.
Hmm.
This and even in different state because they've been pushed away. Like you guys really are so united, so working together. You listen to each other and protect each other. So it is a very important part of our society to include the youth in everything that we do. So that's a very great point, Hadu.
Yes, definitely. I've seen other youths as well, like in Australia, and even the Instagram account on Tigray Youth Network. They're pretty amazing. So, just learning from each other and helping, all of us working together, the youth and everybody else working together, be an amazing way of, moving forward with our movements and motivating everyone to speak up again and making sure we are heard worldwide again. Thank you so much, Charlotte, for that.
Yeah.
And as Tagaru, especially the young generation, what do you think we can learn from this? And what do you think we can do to prevent such crisis from occurring again in the future?
My opinion on that part is going to be super hard, but I'm just going to give you straightforward. I think accountability is very important, and I think youth are good at holding leaders accountable. They are very good at holding leaders accountable, regardless of their actions. The life of Tigray depends on the actions that our leaders take today. We are in the diaspora. Maybe what the only thing we can do is hold our leaders accountable for every mistakes they do. We really have to, regardless of what we believe, where we come from. That's just how a good society operates. If you do something wrong, you're told, right? So I think to prevent this crisis from happening, we have to allow new ideas in. We have to allow new people in, not the same
Mhm.
old people saying the same thing. We have to
Mhm.
allow more ideas, more views, and more young people, and also initiatives, like bringing so many initiatives together and working together as a collective. When one initiative tend to believe different, don't push it away or don't sideline them. actually bring them more closer and understand the point where they're coming from. Because at the end, let's not forget, the objective is all about Tigray. So no
Yeah.
taking things personally,
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah.
But though that is one part of it,
Mhm.
it also comes to to what is happening on the ground, the examples that are happening on the ground as well. I think inclusivity is a very important thing, even in Tigray, not only in the diaspora, even in Tigray. All these political leaders and so on, they should be involved. We want a more it should be a Tigrayan made decision, not a group made decision or
Mhm.
political party made decision. It should be only about Tigray. So
Mhm.
therefore, it's good to see each other as brothers and sisters rather than having a differing or following a trend regardless. Like Hadash, I know there's so many things maybe you have heard people say to you about me with regards to my point of view, but you've always been supportive of me because you know me very well and I know you, and
Yeah.
that's the kind of you know relationship that we have to have as
Mhm.
Tagaros. That's the relationship that we have. The relationship that, regardless of what we believe today, is not going to change. But it's just
Mhm.
a point of view. You know what I'm saying? There's
Yeah.
only one thing we can negotiate about. That's the life of our people. We
Yeah.
cannot negotiate about that. We can negotiate about different things, about politics, about how this war started, how it's going, but there's nothing else we can negotiate about our people's life. That is a very important point. So, working collectively,
Mhm.
including everyone,
Mhm.
bringing the youth back into the system, and making the program transparent and allowing everyone to know the truth is an important aspect of us preventing a future. And also, transparency is actually it's very helpful in terms of crisis. If
Mhm.
you brief me about what is happening in Tigray, I know what I'm talking about and I can be able to do something about it. So I think it's a great point. It's a very good great question you asked, but I think this question should also extend to many youths across the United States and across the world. Really, it should extend. Asking them that question is a very important part of uh, making Tigray a greater Tigray. I believe in that idea, by the way. Don't take it out of context.
No, definitely not. I definitely respect your perspective, and thank you so much. I hope our youth are listening as the audience, to your ideas as well, and how we can move forward and how we can prevent crises like this from happening. So thank you, Telenet. We are actually coming to an end of this program. If you have any, more messages you want to say, I will give you a couple of minutes.
A couple, just give me 1 minute. Uh, First, it's still the month of Lakat. Is not over. I just want to take this opportunity to honor those amazing fighters, the Jagna Sawatna, who sacrificed their life, the youth of Tigray, who said no to marginalization, who said no to subjugation, and who said no to collective punishment, and took a very tough decision, walked through mountains hungry without food and often sleeping on stones and all these terrible thing they experienced, only for me to be in America today, going to the best school, living life fairly, together with other Ethiopians. It is one thing that I'm always grateful for. The Woyane movement is something that is deep in my heart, and I'm always Woyane, and I believe this movement is in every Tigrayan movement. It's not like TPLF ገለ ምናምን ዝብሉ those who say they can say it, but ክብርና ሞገስ ንጅግና ስዋዓትና ይኹን ኢለ I want to say that, and then also appreciate the amazing team behind this media. Honestly, I'm really just surprised they even allowed us to, allow my sister to interview me, and I
Yeah.
saw other interviews as well. It's really amazing the way they are making it more youth inclusive, and I think if it continues like that, really, it's going to bear fruit. To be quite frankly, it is going to bear fruit. And thank you so much, Hadash. You too. You're my sister. We'll talk about it, but yeah, thank you for having me, and everyone that is watching. Zom Hate, this is a very critical time. ዓጆኹም ብርቱዕ ዘይሓልፍ ነገር የለን ከም ዝበሃል ዘይሓልፍ ነገር የለን። እዚ ኩሉ ስቃይ መኸራን ኣብ ሕዝብና ዝበፅኦ ዘሎ ግፍን ሰቁቃን ተዛሪብና እንኳን ዘይንውድዖ it's gonna pass, it's gonna go, it's gonna pass, and tomorrow we will wake up to a greater, beautiful, and amazing Tigray. I want to go back to Tigray, but I can't at this point. But
Yeah.
there will be a time where we'll say, where the Hagare in Amharic, right? Yeah. So
Yeah,
thank
definitely.
you so much. That's all I want to say. يلا
Yes,
نرجع.
of course. Thank you so much, and thank you for saying such great things about our media as well. We are working on being inclusive, and thank you for noticing that. I appreciate you. Thank you everyone in the audience for watching, and yes, happy Lakatif. Everyone is still celebrating. Please share and subscribe to Aksmayan Media Network on YouTube and on Facebook. Also follow our amazing guest, my brother Charanet, on Facebook. Follow him to his through his journey, and while he continues to fight for human rights, not only for Tigray, but he's going to be big and he's going to be fighting. I think for every human. I believe that. And Charanet, thank you so much for joining us today. Um,
Okay,
and
Hadi.
audience, yeah, thank you again for staying with us. Have a beautiful Sunday.
Thank you.